Hello, trading has closed on the 13th of August 2014 and I'm Jeffrey Tennant. At yesterday's close I had two targets from the mejt system, 1936.30 and 1939.66. Each target printed. I said that the up move I expected would not necessarily stop there, and it didn't. Let's see how the system fared intraday. These were the two targets. The system identified them as being satisfied with the white dots. Early in the day, right at this bar, the system said ultimately higher prices would print, which they did. When the market consolidates is when mejt really shines. Early on, it said ultimately lower prices would print. It indicated it right here, but this color-coded line indicated what the target of the sell signal was, the minimum target, and you can see it's pretty close. But when we hit this, the system also said that we would trade over this price as well, which we did. The system identified that rally as a false move, and at that point it made sense to go for this lower target. We hit the target here. The market said it was a false move. It said we would retrace to this thick line, which we did on the dot. Because we hit it after these vertical white lines printed, any move afterwards can stick. It doesn't have to retrace. Well, there are no new targets for tomorrow, and that means we're going to have to rely on other indicators other than the mejt system. We still have this target of 1914.83. The system says it'll print. It doesn't say when. It could be tomorrow, it could be a year from now. But if this is a major high, I would like it to print fairly soon. So what are the chances that we've hit a major high? Well, we have some conflicting indicators. When you gap up, hit a new high, and then get a higher high, and just make a series of lower highs throughout the day, that's a pretty negative pattern. It usually leads to lower prices unless we have a gap over this high at tomorrow's open, or at least trade over it shortly after the open. That conflicts with someone else's system that says when you go from high to low all day long, you should normally close near the day's low, and if you don't, you have a good rally, unless you have a gap under this print low, or at least take it out early in the day. So based on those conflicting indicators, I'm anticipating a gap outside of the day's range. Now, what about direction? Well, I'm not so great on direction, but let's show a few things. I've been hoping for this line to hold, although at one time I thought we had a chance to see this line. If this line holds, I still think we have a target around 1830. So it's kind of interesting that today's high is right at the 50% level of the recent drop. So there is some Fibonacci resistance there. What's also interesting is if this is really 5 waves down, we have a possible 3 waves up. And once again, if that's wave A and that's B, then miraculously wave C is 50% of wave A. Doesn't mean we have to stop there, but if we stop there, there's a good reason to justify it. What's really interesting is the time to mark indicators on the 30-minute chart. In blue, we have a Tom DeMark sequential sell signal right near the high. In green, we have a combo sell signal right at the high because bar 13 can finish early. We also have a reversal bar which is completely over the upper Bollinger Band, and then we have a bar that immediately prints under the upper Bollinger Band. Now this doesn't preclude a slightly higher high from printing, but ideally we shouldn't trade over the band if it's a valid sell, and ideally we should start down tomorrow. So mejt doesn't have a call for tomorrow based on other factors. I think we are going to have a gap outside the day's range. I'm going to make a guess that if we have the gap under this low, we could be in for a very severe third wave down starting tomorrow. And even if the gap is over this high, which I think is the least likely alternative, we could still have a pretty strong reversal starting tomorrow. And that's my call for today.